Think about these words and ask yourself this question. And while you're thinking about other people, don't forget to think about yourself. In this classroom, in the Mac Lab, you have a certain level of creative freedom within boundaries. We're trying to make resources. Look, I had a little adventure. I woke up way too early and couldn't get back to sleep. Jumped into Photoshop and came up with this. But I started from actually this, which I saved at one time and thought was pretty cool. And now I look at it and think, that's hideous. How could I have ever thought that was cool? Well, this is part of my creative journey. And some of the stuff you think is cool today, a little further down the road, you're going to look back and go, this really isn't anything I want to keep. So what I did is just went back to this base image, deleted all the layers, and saved as, and started working on it. And if you look through this, hey, look, auto tone, low opacity, going into camera raw, making some, here, take this back. So auto tone at full opacity, yikes, toned it down, went into camera raw, even lightened it up a little more. Tried flipping, rotating, did all my normal tricks, and it's just, there's too many lines, too much geometry, and it looked horrible. And so, and I tried it with and without the edges, and then a little blur. But when making this blur, and I typically just go to lighten because that gives me everything and I can see what's going on. And if I undo that, as I was running through the blend modes, I hit this and went, that's kind of interesting. So this blur is 125 pixels. This is another 125. It's, they're in two directions. One's 90, one's 0. And I went ahead with this 125 blur on a different blend mode. And if I come here and change this back to normal, you'll see what I preserved. And now, how can this be useful? Seriously. But I thought, I've never tried this. What can I do with this? So then I went back below and started changing blend modes, and I ended up changing this motion blur to 1250. And the 1250 vertical gave me, if I go back to divide here, gave me this, which I thought, that feels like pastels. The chalk, pastel chalks. It's really fun to draw with if you've had an art class. And then took it into camera, made it more dramatic. And I don't think this is done. I think there's more I can do with this. But this was a moment where I went, oh, let's turn those on. Before and after, exact same geometry. And the reason I went to 1250 is I just kept playing with these lines, just kept increasing that blur a little bit more to see how it evened out colors and stretched out these lines. I didn't take it all the way up to 2000, because I felt like this was a great place. And that's the freedom you have in this classroom to experiment. Stop doing the same thing in the same way every day, going through the motions. Explore. Enjoy your freedom.